The news of the day is Jayden Daniels is QB1. They could say it's unofficial. We've all been kind of waiting for it for some time. Any level of surprise? It happened now. Kind of match your expectations. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, I mean, technically, all they announced was he's QB1 on the depth chart for now, and it's not official. So technically, things could change. But yeah, I mean, the day they selected him, he was QB1. He's always been QB1. I mean, he's performed up to the level of QB1 too. So it's not even like any debate whatsoever. He's far and away the better quarterback out there. Draft status, contract aside, he's just the better quarterback out there. So yeah, it's like the non-news news of the day.
Totally. Yep. If it was a competition, which it really wasn't, he won it.
Yes. Handily.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So what are kind of your expectations going forward to New York, Jersey, whatever you want to call it?
Meadowlands, Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how much they play him. Like, will they give him a full quarter, a half even? I mean, I don't really know what to expect. So I shouldn't say I'd be surprised if they go that long. And I don't really know this coaching staff and kind of the way they view preseason. I know a lot of teams are, they don't want to play any of their starters anymore. But given, Jayden's a rookie, it's a new system, new team, they want to get him out there. So that'll be the one thing I'm looking for. How long will he go? How many series will he get? What kind of shape will his line be in? That's a big concern to me.
What line they going to put out there?
Yeah,
right. I mean,
that's the question.
Will they have warm bodies to put out there at tackle by Saturday? We'll see.
Where are we with that? Give us up to speed on the O-line.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty depleted. I mean, Andrew Wiley's still not practicing dealing with what he said is tightness. Brandon Coleman was watching most of practice today.
No
Sam Cosme has been out the last two practices because of an illness. Alex Kingblue, he went down with an injury on Sunday or Monday. What day is today? Sunday.
Today's Tuesday.
Yeah. And we haven't really gotten much of an update there. I think there's some hope that it's not as serious as it looked at the time, but he wasn't out there today unless I totally missed him.
You did not.
Yeah, I didn't see him. 6'2"?
Yeah.
6'2".
So I would imagine they're going to have to bring in somebody just to have enough people. I mean, they were still giving Mason Brooks reps at tackle, which is terrifying. So poor Mason. Sorry, he's catching strays here. They gotta get people to get him through camp, really.
Agreed. Especially going up to a place like the Jets where they've got some talent, they've got some really good interior defensive linemen for sure. What are you most looking forward to with these Jets practices? Where do you think Washington will get and needs the biggest test?
I mean, I think most eyes will be on Jayden, right? So I'm curious to see, how he handles that secondary. They got a good secondary.
Maybe the best corner in football.
Yeah. So how will he fare going against, a secondary of that caliber? Will he still make good decisions? Will he still look sharp? I mean, you expect some bumps in the road along the way, and you just want to get a better gauge of where they are as a team. I feel like it can be so misleading when you watch them go against each other so often in practice. Like it just, it's every year kind of feels the same where, the defense looks really good or the offense will have its days here and there, but it's not really an accurate measure of where they're at as a team. So all those years with the Commanders didn't have joint practices. I feel like we went into the season probably more optimistic than, we should have been.
I think. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say the joint practices with the Ravens, kind of exposed a lot of where they were, and it held throughout the season. So it was, sort of eye-opening. You hope they're farther along this year, but you never know.
I think when you look at it, sometimes the offense has their days when they adjust something and change something that the defense didn't know.
Right.
And then after 2 days, the defense goes right back to kicking their ass because they know what they're doing. And it happens like that throughout training camp. Like on Thursday, the thing that I'm looking forward to is them going against a team where they don't know what's happening as a defense here.
Yeah.
Because everybody's saying they're looking for the offense. No, I want to see if our defense can fare well against a team with a quarterback like that. You know what I mean? And then also having some explosive players on that team too, not just what our offense can do.
And I mean, Quinn made the interesting point too. I mean, when you have two teams going against each other in a joint practice, the coaches from both sides can kind of script it together so they can both, you know, create mismatches or create things just to see how their guys work against other guys. So it gives them a better gauge of what they're working with personnel-wise.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think? I mean, we're not going to see any of Aaron Rodgers in the game. What do you think we see from A-Rod in the practices? Like, is any part of you fascinated to watch that dude? I've covered him before, but never coming off an Achilles and running for vice president. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's been doing pretty much everything. So, yeah, I'm definitely curious to see where he's at and how he looks. It would have been cool to see him in the game, but, yeah, there's no way he'd ever play in a preseason game. I mean, he doesn't need to, obviously, but yeah, I mean, I would imagine we see most everything from him in practice, I think. I mean, the other thing to remember with the joint practices is how much do they show the other team? I mean, they're not going to roll out everything, obviously. They don't want, you know, so it's usually the most vanilla packages they put out there. So, you know, how much will he show? How much will he actually see of him? I don't know, but, you know, just seeing how much he can do physically, yeah, I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. We did get a little Matt Mayoko from Bay Area reported that the Niners look to maybe have a deal going with Cleveland or New England on this Brandon Aiyuk stuff and that Washington's out of it. I think you and I have kind of been saying the same thing, that this hasn't really been something that was happening for quite some time. What do you make of the news and kind of what do you think of Washington's decision to, if they ever were a real contender, to back out of the Aiyuk situation?
Yeah, I mean, the way that was framed, I'm a little curious, but when they say removed from the talks, does that mean they said, no, we're not interested? And I mean, because I think Aiyuk has made it pretty clear in interviews that he would like to go to the Commanders or at least have them among his top landing spots if he does move on from the 49ers. So does that mean they weren't interested, which is kind of the vibe I've gotten from the team, that, you know, we kicked the tires during the draft just to kind of see what the market was, but it never got to anything serious. Or is there talk that they really got into discussions and price got too high? I'm inclined to think it's the former, that, you know, there wasn't a ton of interest. I mean, obviously he's a great receiver. Adam Peters has a history with him. I mean, Jayden Daniels, obviously. But this is a guy that's looking for, and the market calls for, $30 million a year for a receiver. So for a team that's still in that rebuilding mode, does it make sense to give up picks and then give, you know, in a year, give them a $30 million a year contract? I'm not seeing it. And I always felt like if they did do a trade for him, it's like a player for player swap. And like, are you going to give up Terry for Brandon Aiyuk?
Right.
I'm not seeing that either.
But when you look at reportedly what might be coming back,
yeah,
if Cleveland's willing to give up Amari Cooper, there's no way San Fran's taking anything less than Terry.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, they got 2 first-round receivers on their roster. You know, Jerry Jeudy hasn't
has
exactly
all the power
lit it up.
Aiyuk has nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's been the case for the whole time, you know?
Totally. It's, I don't know, man. I still think eventually there's all right, I'm just going to stay here. Let's talk about the contract after.
I thought that would have happened by now.
Me too. I'm a little surprised it's gotten to this point. I thought they would have reached a deal because I mean, to me, that just makes the most sense of any of the options. But, you know, I don't know. I'm also not fully entrenched on kind of their thinking. So I don't know.
Part of me thinks that the Niners have been talking for so long. And then they're just like, all right, dude, we could make a deal. You talk to them about the contract and see if their offer is significantly better than ours, And if so, I just think they're kind of letting the market show the reality of the situation.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to watch unfold but more of a I don't think it's really much of a market here. Maybe that'll be proven wrong and Cleveland pays up.
I mean, they're both kind of wild card teams. I mean, Cleveland is Cleveland. I mean, they gave Deshaun the money they gave Deshaun.
Right.
I mean, that would be really interesting, that team, because you got a first-round tight end. You'll have at least 2 first-round receivers if you acquire Aiyuk.
Running back.
You'll probably have Judy still there. And Deshaun, I'm like, that's a heck of a group. Like, that's a lot of ego to manage.
Well, you wonder.
That's a lot.
I mean, obviously, Deshaun has a relationship with ownership there, right? Very clearly. What if Deshaun is like, hey, Jimmy, go get Aiyuk, and then that deal gets done, and it's just like one more deal that you got to wonder how much the staff wanted done, and happens anyway. Similar to what we're probably going to go see in New York over the next couple of days with Rodgers.
Right. No, totally. And Jimmy Haslam is the type of owner to probably listen and do it.
Right.
You know, his quarterback wants, if that's the case, you know, and the Patriots haven't really made any splash move. You know, they've kept their own,
but keep signing their own people.
Yeah.
So the first depth chart gets released today. You can't read too much into it, but what, if any, would you say are kind of winners and losers coming off that first depth chart, as far as like what you thought their roster spot was, what you think it might be going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say at the start of like the offseason program, I mean, to me, Brandon Coleman was sort of a mystery. I wasn't really sure of what to expect from him because like most of the research I had done had been on the first round tackles. So admittedly, I didn't know a whole lot about him. I didn't know what to expect from him. And just on paper, you think, you know, maybe the veteran guy there is better suited to start, at least initially. So he's been a really pleasant surprise. Like, he does look good out there. I mean, today he wasn't out there dealing with something. Hope it's not too serious. I mean, Quinn did say he would start on Saturday. So, but they have moved him to right. He's played at left and he's held his own. So I think, you know, seeing what he's shown so far, that's a huge win for them. If he can continue to progress and really show that he's a quality tackle, I mean, that's huge. Losers, I mean, I don't know. None of them are surprises. I mean, I don't know that Emmanuel Forbes will stay as a backup on the final, you know, depth chart when they finalize the initial roster. Because he's still been going out there with ones when he plays. Sometimes
he's been with the ones all the time.
Yeah. So,
and the other thing with Forbes, I'm curious if you agree with me on this. Maybe you don't make him a starter, and that's okay, because you only want him out there in clear passing situations where you can use him to the best of his ability. And so if that means he's out there a little less, but maybe they get more out of him in fewer snaps, that is totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still think the secondary secondary is sort of fluid. The notion of a true starter, similar to running back, is sort of
I totally agree
misleading, you know, just because of the packages. It's all dependent on that.
Well, dude.
But what if they just think, listen, he's going to be our starter. We've been working him with the starters all the time. We're going to start somebody else because they're going to be the ones playing in the game Saturday.
Right.
It'd be as simple as that.
I think Davis, tell me if you agree with this, Nick. Davis, Samerstill, BSJ, Emmanuel Forbes have clearly separated themselves as their top 4 corners. And I think if I had to guess, maybe the leading snap guys might be Davis and Samerstill, because I think they could play in lots of different packages. And I think they both have BSJ. Forbes has to prove to them that he is a willing participant in run defense before he's out on the field more. But if they know he's not, but they know he can help them in dime when he can identify, use his speed and his length, fine.
Diggs don't tackle. Diggs chase receivers.
Right.
So Forbes may not have to do that because they won't put him in that position. I think I think they way that they did this, they put a lot of stuff out there to make us have to read into things. It's going to be a little simpler than what we think.
Yeah. No, I agree totally. And that's like I mean, depth charts anymore have just become, it's good fodder, but it's not really. I mean, they have 12 offensive starters and 12 defensive starters on this depth chart. I mean, like that alone just shows you how ridiculous some of it is.
And DQ said it. He's like, DQ first off joked that Sean made the depth chart, who's the VP of football communications.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And then he said, he was like, yeah, if I was making it, I'd have 15 starters. So I think defensively, there are probably 7 guys in the defensive backfield that will play north of 60% of snaps.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think, there's truth to what he's saying, too, is there's still plenty. I mean, camp technically ends after the first preseason game, right? But, I mean, there are still positions up for grabs. They haven't finalized, or they're not set on who they like there. So there is sort of a tie between some of the guys at these positions. So, I mean, the unofficial depth chart is a requirement of the league. Every team has to pull one out before the preseason game. But, it's not,
Dude, so
it requires context always, to have co-starting running backs. I mean, a starting running back has always been misleading in my mind because it always depends on the opening script and,
Right. We don't run no two-back offense no more.
Yeah.
Although I saw some two-back.
Yeah, they may, but we don't necessarily. We don't have a fullback.
Right.
Man, they might. I don't know what we're allowed to say on that, but some of the goal line stuff today was quite interesting, man.
Yeah, two-back set, not a fullback.
Nikki, we haven't asked you arguably the most important news of the day. This is
Barney.
from.
I hope this is where it's going. Oh.
We can go to Barney, but I know Barney's important to you. The Commanders have a new dog in training, a new service dog. Barney, what's the scouting report like?
Oh my God, it's super cute. I mean, he's a stud. Like he's the real deal. He's a first-round doggo.
First-round dog.
All right, now I agree with you there. This is something that's a little more divisive. We live in divisive times. A number of things have been announced today. Jayden Daniels, QB1, not the only major announcement that happened today as far as contenders for this fall. But this, to me, I can't avoid, no matter how much we try to be a diversion for people. International recording artist Pitbull is purchasing the naming rights to Florida International's football stadium.
Pitbull Stadium, baby.
Incredible. It's incredible. Awesome. I mean, I don't know how the Commanders lost out on the bidding, frankly. Like,
I don't think his whole deal is enough for 1 year here.
He's paying him $1.2 million a year.
Yeah, for 5 years.
If the Commanders did play at Pitbull Stadium, write him into the playoffs.
I mean, can Wale get a group together? Wale Stadium? That'd be dope. Like,
I love Wale, but Pitbull, I mean, he's Mr. Worldwide. So I don't know.
Mr. Worldwide, but Wale is DC.
Wale, if you listen, text JP and let him know what the hell. Tell him you worldwide too.
Wale,
he does international tours, dude.
I have $100 towards Wale Field at Commander.
That won't even help.
That would be incredible.
How much you putting up?
Absolutely incredible.
Huh? I got about 1.5.
You're putting 1.5 what?
Mil.
Towards Wale Stadium at Commanders Field?
Yeah, as long as I'm getting my money back.
Combined, we have 1.5 and $100. Nikki, would you like to throw anything in on this?
I mean, I don't know what the Commanders are waiting for. I mean, these deals are just out there to be taken. Like,
can't be waiting.
Let's go. Yeah.
Hesitation will kill you. Thank you, Nikki. Always appreciate it.
All right, man.
Of course. Thanks, guys.